I don't know how I want to broach this topic because I might have a somewhat controversial opinion on it. But you might have heard a lot of conversation lately about the idea of Gen Z being hyper puritanical, very uh, lonely, very unlikely to date or be involved in relationships or even in young adulthood to have had any sex or dating experience. There's this opposition to nudity and sex scenes in media. Um, and just generally speaking, it seems as though there's been a trend of Gen Z actually being a little more stick up their ass about things that aren't normal than previous generations. You might argue Gen X is a little more alt than even Gen Z, or even more alt friendly than Gen Z, which is a crazy thought, but it's kind of true. Gen Z has gotten pretty puritanical. And my controversial take is I do think that it's an overcorrection for a perceived fault of societal degradation. A lot of young Gen Z have been really just fucked over. Like, coming into adulthood in a pandemic, the economy being absolutely wrecked by Donald Trump globally. Even if you're not American, you're dealing with the consequences of COVID and Trump's presidency here in America. Now we've seen, like, more than ever, people are struggling. In first world countries, by the way, people are struggling just to get by. No one's got money to do things that, like, they enjoy anymore, right? No one can afford to date. No one can afford to, like, go on vacations or anything. Everybody is getting super depressed and angry and looking, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse for years. And now we're at, like, a very, very undeniable point of the problem getting worse. And now you've got so many, particularly young men, but young women too, looking for an answer as to why this is happening. And for a lot of Gen Z, the belief is that they believe the idea that America was more prosperous in times like the 1960s, the 1950s, hell, even just the 1990s is what they want to return to, right? And they've been convinced that if we just roll back the clock a bit, a few decades, and keep things that way, then things will be perfect. And a lot of that involves an idea that modern dating and hookup culture is part of the problem. The idea that certain modern developments and social causes are part of the problem. And I don't fully disagree with them in that I do think there are certain issues in our culture that have gotten very prevalent and normalized that I do think are a bit of a problem. Like, I do think the level of, like, I kind of dislike hookup culture, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I do think that the types, it feels like among Gen Z, like 30% of men and women are super easy, we'll say, and they're just having sex with each other all the time, while, like, all the other Gen Z men and women are absolute shut-ins who are judging the hell out of the other 30%. Like, that's how things feel at the moment. And I do think, to a degree, things like hookup culture are a bit of a problem. But now we've got Gen Z correctly noticing that things like hookup culture and beauty standards in media for men and women are a problem, instead of a moderate and reasonable social pushback. Instead, it's this reflexive, reactionary overcorrection into Puritanism, like being puritanical and insane. And that is what we're seeing happen right now. I actually have a video about this that I was sent by you guys, by a channel called Brian E. Clare. I thought we'd go ahead and give it a watch because I do have a lot to say on this issue, and I'm curious if this video will give us a lot of points to jump off of. So let's give it a watch. Also, really quickly, can I give a shout out to Crash Elements LP for the 70 Czar? Thank you for the Czar, 70 Czar. So you mentioned in one vid, you working now. What kind of job are you doing now? You don't have to say where or anything like that. I'd just like to know the field. I try not to say too much because it wouldn't be hard to figure out where I work and, attack my work with calls and emails to try to get me fired. But I will say it involves explaining things to people. That is as specific as I will be. Anyway, let's hop right into it, shall we?
Hates purity culture, right?
Well, ladies, I believe you also have a unique opportunity to protect the purity of your brothers in the Lord.
Excuse you?
How difficult it is for a guy to look at a girl with purity in his heart when she is dressed immodestly.
Men have no autonomy, and we just make life so hard for them to get by every single day without just pouncing on us.
This is a very common mindset among men lately, that, like, over time, women have gotten a lot more comfortable, like, dressing in ways that would be considered very, I guess, inappropriate, is what they would have called it back in the day. And, like, a lot of guys absolutely cannot stop themselves from thinking about, like, sex, relationships, how attracted they are to women, if they just see attractive women, like, in public or whatever. It's just all that's on their mind. And their idea is that the solution to that, if it even needs to be solved, is some kind of societal enforcement, some kind of social pushback against dressing that way, against being too hot in public.
I have no idea how difficult it is.
Is that a shoulder I see?
You have no idea.
A knee? Cover up, you Jezebel, ye temptress. Purity culture instills that virginity is more worthy than the human themselves.
I am filled with Christ's love.
A girl or woman's body is what's to blame for all manner of sins, and she has to have her autonomy controlled to not unleash the beast. She's an object, once used, like trash, like a piece of chewed up gum. If she had any self-respect, she'd make him wait. She wouldn't dress in a tempting manner, and she wouldn't be a woman who casually dates. It was really popular in the 90s and 2000s, this
Well, keep in mind, by the way, it's all about the agreed upon standards of men, right? A woman is better with less sexual partners because guys think a woman is better with less sexual partners. Like, if you're a guy and you marry a girl who's had sex with 100 guys before you, do you think it's going to be women judging you for that? Because no, it's going to be the men. Men will judge you as a guy for marrying a woman who's had a ton of sexual partners. Men will judge you as a woman for having had a lot of sexual partners because they know that other men will. If men didn't care about the women that other men are getting with, then there wouldn't be any worry. There wouldn't be the standard among men to be like, they wouldn't be this way. Like, it's literally an Ouroboros, right? Of like, and I wonder if this is common among women as well, where like women don't date certain guys that they don't think other women will approve of socially. But this is very common among guys, and that actually is entirely where the evaluation of a woman's value among the the patriarchy comes from. Is this a woman that if you married her, other guys would rip on you for it? That is fundamentally what it all comes down to. Can you brag about the woman you got to your buddies? Is what it all comes down to when you really think about it.
evangelical movement which just spread like wildfire, in particular across pop stars, which we'll get back to in a future video. We kind of anticipate purity culture to come up in conservative spaces, right? You know, the issue of body count, dating rules to find the right man, because there can only be one, remember, and a lot around dressing classy, which usually means dressing very modestly. Like, we hate purity culture, but there has been a sneaky rebrand, which has unfortunately gotten many people on the left falling into the trap, and I have also fallen prey to it as well. The thing is that we grew beyond purity culture and all of its nonsense. When she flops, she sexualizes herself and gets all feminine. Women that fall into the male gaze versus women that fall into the female gaze. Olivia Rodrigo's dress is pedo bait. Can we all just agree to stop dressing for the male gaze? Caption, I know you don't actually like that outfit, you just think he might. Cameron Renee is setting women
Bring back free the nipple. I'm just saying it now. We can all agree. I think I speak for everyone when I say bring back free the nipple.
back. We're never getting out of the patriarchy. Boy sober.
No XOXOXO.
Everything that's in him and on him, you're submitting to.
This is why I've chosen celibacy, mostly to my younger women out there, because I want you to protect your energy. I want you to protect yourself.
Because there is a thing called a soul tie. Nobody really talks about the long-term damage of having casual intimacy. When you have intercourse with someone, you're transferring energies. Their energy ties to you, their vibrations, their thoughts, their emotions, their struggles, and vice versa. We have to be...
Okay, do you want to hear my favorite, like, cognito hazard that if the incels ever find out this statistic, you're never going to hear the end of it? because it's a completely true statistic. Like, this is a literal cognito hazard that I'm about to tell you. I'm about to fucking break your worldview right now. Nearly 50% of American women, compared to less than 20% of American men, believe in magic. When the incels find out that stat, which is real, by the way, we're never hearing the end of that one. That women are twice as likely as men. Well, way more, like, to believe in magic. Way more than twice as likely. That, like, almost half of America's women believe in magic. It is pretty wild, low-key. And I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm talking about, like, horoscopes, tarot cards, witchcraft, that kind of thing. Like, literal magic. Like they were asked, do you believe in magic? And they said yes.
Exclusive. We have to be careful of who gets access to our energy.
Ugh, I'm so sick of male-centered women. You should always feel ashamed and guilty.
But yeah, it is very easy to get spiritually leaning people to believe that somehow some kind of conservative ideal is in line with their magical thinking, literally. Right? Have you seen how many of like like tarot card type girls are now like turfy as hell? Because like there's that whole like witchy sisterhood concept, which is all well and good and fine, but then that can quickly be weaponized by TERFs into, well, don't you know that there are these men pretending to be women trying to invade the sisterhood? We need to remove the T from LGB. Don't you agree, sisters? Like, I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen in, like, witch communities on Reddit and stuff. It is wild. You gotta be very, very aware of the fact that people with strong spiritual beliefs are extremely, just in general, are the types of people who are easy to manipulate. They have magical thinking. They're not strong on critical thinking. And I know I might be talking about some of you guys watching, but I'm not trying to hate, all right? I'm not trying to hate. I'm just pointing out.
Of abortion. There shouldn't be any sex scenes in media. You may not have even realized just how much you've fallen into a number of these traps. We are firmly in the new age of purity culture, where the concept of a woman's body being inherently sinful, and if it's touched, it means that she is unworthy. It's seeped into spaces that you wouldn't expect, and it's landed us right back where purity culture wants us to be.
Are backsliding into the flames of hell. Yeah. You've become a magnet for sin. We've all witnessed it.
And where the attention is being drawn away.
Well, Bina Becker, I'm not talking about you. If I asked you, do you believe in magic, Bina Becker, and you said no, then I'm not, and you say no, then I'm not talking about you. But if you answer yes to that, then I guess I would be.
Away from the actual issues which are causing real, genuine harm to women and non-binary and trans people. My patrons are the ones that voted for this video. If you ever want to be able to have a say in the videos that I do, then please join my Patreon. It's always linked for you down below. They already have the extended, uncensored version available, and I will be censoring my words because I want...
Astrology, that's what I was thinking. Astrology, yes. Yeah, astrology is very, very common. Believe in, no, but practice, yes. That's fine, yeah, exactly. Like, for example, like, you don't have to believe in, like, Thor or Odin, but you can still be, like, a practicer of like, certain Norse, like, Norse religious, practices, right? Like maybe, like, you carve out some, like, Norse totems or something. I don't know. Like that's fine. Like, what I'm talking about is the literal, admitted belief in actual magic. Yeah.
This message to be able to get out to a broader scope of people.
Rule number 1, make sure your hair is always long and lustrous and never put up. Rule number 2, make sure to show a little skin.
These memes, oh my god, I've seen these. I've seen these. Okay, do you guys know about this trend where it's like a girl will be like, here's how you look attractive to men, and then a girl will be like, making herself the exact opposite because her goal is to not be attractive to men.
And especially those stems, ladies. Rule number 3, footwear should be dainty and delicate. Rule number 4, show off that waist at all times. Rule number 5, always have a pleasant expression on your face. I promise you will attract a man.
You'll have seen so many posts like this go viral, with various pictures or videos of women who apparently fall into the male gaze versus the female gaze, when really it's just all attractive people anyway. There's an amorphous quality as to what makes a person a female gaze person. What you're meant to do here is identify which camp you fall into, male gaze or female gaze, from the visual cues. There is greater virtue given to you if you are in the female gaze because you're a girl's girl, which Ro Mooney made a video on last year. It's more like sister surveillance. If you appeal to the male gaze, you just aren't as deep. You look like that for him, not for you.
True! Oh my god, I'm so glad. I'm so glad about Dark Woke, thank god. Oh my god, this is how we win. This is how we fucking win. Oh my god, the left has needed to do this for so long. Just stop fucking pretending as though, like, women are this unanimous monolith, the progressive, correct politics all the time, and not like there isn't serious problems among even Gen Z, like, the demographic most likely to be progressive, Gen Z women, that there aren't problems with things like Puritanism, like, misandry, transphobia, transmisogyny, internalized misogyny, racism, homophobia, biphobia, asexual phobia, fucking all this shit is rampant within toxicity, toxic femininity. All these problems are absolutely rampant among women, and in order to be an effective feminist critic, you absolutely have to call these things out, especially when they serve the purpose of the patriarchy's ends. It must be done. Ignoring these issues, ignoring these things that happen. And I'm not gonna lie, as a guy who is left as fuck, and also a feminist, proudly so, those posts, a lot of these behaviors absolutely trigger me low-key, and I'm like, God, I wish the left would call this kind of stuff out, you know? Like, why? The left really is not down to talk about things like how sex traffickers always use a woman to get, like, people on board, and it's like, to get women comfortable and on board, and it's like, why are there so many women like Ghislaine Maxwell who are smiling and happy in the court photos about being the buddy of a sex trafficker? All right, like, it's not about men being predators and women being like the prey, which is how a lot of feminists like to frame it. Women are people, and some people are evil, right? And this is the kind of video, this video is critiquing women from a feminist lens. And this is the kind of shit that needs to be happening. This needs to be happening for the left to see future growth and success. Are feminists in on this shit? No, not as a whole, I'd say. I'd say overall, feminism is good. Like, fundamentally, feminism is good. This is from Brianni Claire. The channel will be linked down below in the description, by the way. Feminism is fundamentally good. The things that we're criticizing here are not feminist, though. Like, this idea of, like making it a thing to make yourself as unattractive to men as possible and living your life that way to avoid the male gaze, that's not feminist. Just because you can make something sound feminist doesn't make it feminist. And that's what she's critiquing here, is the ways in which women are able to brand something as feminist that is not feminist and is even perhaps patriarchal in nature. That is the kind of stuff that the left needs to be willing to call out, like she is right now, and I love to see it. Because it's one of the left's biggest blind spots. It's one of the ways that the red pillars and the incels and the MGTOW women hater types have managed to hoover up so many young men, is by convincing them the left is unwilling to criticize women, but all ready to, like, down to criticize men at all times.
AKA, you're a slut. But this is a progressive way to, like, not get accused of slut-shaming. I think a huge problem is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the male gaze actually is.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's slut-shaming, but woke. That's what it is. It's slut-shaming, but woke.
Created in 1973 by Laura Mulvey in her essay Visual Pleasure and the Narrative Cinema. I've got the full thing linked for you down below, where she draws from Freud's teachings, because we can't escape him apparently, as it specifically pertains to film and art, and the way a woman is a passive object to be enjoyed by the male observer, the cameraman and the audience in a voyeuristic.
Oh, another good example is the anti-porn stuff, right? Notice how it's always an overcorrection. Like, the porn industry is extremely abusive. It has been abusive a lot in the past. There are absolutely elements of porn that could be detrimental to people's psyche. There are absolutely elements of porn that are degrading towards particularly women. There are absolutely elements of porn that are racist in some cases and can enforce negative stereotypes. Like, there are tons of critiques you can have on the porn industry, but then you've got people whose answer to that is, so let's ban porn. Let's make it illegal. And it's like, whoa, that's an overcorrection. That's a really good example of what we're talking about here. Like, we're allowed to critique something as perhaps a little problematic. We're allowed to have conversation, but when it bounds into full-on, like, demand of like authoritarianism, whether it be socially enforced or perhaps even called for on a legal level, like trying to get the law on your side, that's when I think that you've gone too far out of the libertarian bubble for me. Not like libertarian, right? But like libertarian as a concept, like non-authoritarian.
Way, a separation between the subject and the viewer, the subject with no agency of her own, often disembodied body parts with lingering voyeuristic shots. She is not in control, she does not decide her sexuality, she is just there as tittling eye candy for him, as we follow his gaze picking her body apart. She serves him, or as Harley succinctly puts it,
you know, Harlequin's nothing without a master. And no one gives two f***s who we are beyond that.
Men on screen, however, are to be identified with. Like we discussed in my last video, is an egotistical mirror for the viewer. He is the active figure, the woman is the passive eye candy where sadistic pleasures can be carried out on her. Hitchcock is one of the best examples of this, which he does detail in the essay. Plus, he was downright cruel to women. This is a bad time to say the only Hitchcock film I've actually enjoyed is North by Northwest, or as I like to think of, Run, Cary Grant, Run. If we want to talk about patriarchal beauty standards and the pressures to conform, we absolutely can, but male gaze, it is not. In fact, I'd argue if we're reducing a woman to her looks, we are performing the male gaze ourselves. Women are the ones who are filming and posting themselves. There is no male director. Yet we get videos like the male gaze or be.
Also, here's my fucking giga hot take, and I know this one because I talk to women. The female gaze is skinny. Skinny, rail thin, tall women. That's the female gaze. That's the kind of women that women like to see, that model women's clothing, that women will say is that, like, that's the female gaze. And you notice something about that, right? Rail thin, tall. There's an element of fat phobia to it. Men like thick women in general. They like big booties. They like big titties. Women who are on the thicker side tend to have those features, and you can see in the side-by-side are the ones getting labeled as pandering to the male gaze. Like this girl here, like, yeah, she's wearing some stuff that's a little bit more skin showing, but she's also significantly more, not significantly more, but has a higher body fat percentage than all the women here. You know, like, and she's shorter too, you can tell. Like there's very much an element of fat phobia, you could argue, or at least body phobia to this idea of what is the male gaze, what is the female gaze, which women are pandering to what kind of idea. It really is like body shaming, slut shaming, etc., but wokely. But branded as wokely, branded as feminist.
Yourself. When someone's
in the same way transphobia is just bigotry branded as feminist.
Said, this is not the male gaze, the creator replied. The male gaze is where women dress for men's eyes, which it is not, and who decides what you do or don't like? POV, you decentered yourself in the male gaze, and it's a whole bunch of women who are showing their style changing, usually going from form-fitting, revealing clothing to...
Yep, baggy clothes are a big part of it too. Women find baggy clothing more attractive as well, and that's like part of it. The baggy clothing looks best on people who are really thin. Like it's literally the ideal of this female gaze is runway model that models women's clothing. I know this because I've spoken to many women about what, particularly bisexual women, about what women find attractive or why. What I asked, okay, this is what I've asked many women before. I'll run you through the exact conversations I've had. Why is it that the most successful and famous clothing models for women's clothing are always so tall and thin? Like, I'm gonna be honest, like most of the women I see on these runways are not like the ideal beautiful woman, at least in most guys that I know's eyes. Like generally like some meat on the bones is kind of preferred. And she like multiple women have explained to me, well, these models aren't meant to look beautiful to men. Like these models are not meant to appeal to men. These models are modeling women's clothes and they're meant to appeal to women. That's why they're tall and that's why they're thin. And so you'll notice that exact trend is following here with the women that are being labeled as appealing to the female gaze instead of the male gaze. And it's like, oh, there's actually something pretty problematic about this trend when you think about it.
Looser clothing and less makeup. And honestly, we are so here for people discovering different styles that they enjoy and maturing and changing over time. Like, you don't have to fit into one box. We all contain multitudes. But dressing any of these ways is all completely okay if that's what you like. In fact, instead of saying that you're not...
Also, I'm gonna be real, if these women that think they're not appealing to the male gaze think that they've made themselves not look attractive, I got news for them.
Dressing for the male gaze anymore, I would just say, like, you're dressing for different occasions. This whole notion that women fall into types and people base their worthiness of whether they are a good woman or not based on their looks. We are firmly in Madonna whore territory, but nobody wants to admit that's what they're doing. It's ripped straight from the purity culture playbook, where they have all of those illustrations about what a woman should be wearing, what makes a woman tempting or not. He may as well be parroting Jordan Peterson, where he's saying that women wear red lipstick as a way to attract men.
Here's a rule. How about no makeup in the workplace?
Why would that be a rule?
Why should you wear makeup in the workplace? Isn't that sexually provocative?
No.
It's not?
No.
Well, what is it then?
If men were normalized to wear makeup in modern day, they absolutely would. You're telling me if you had like a bad zit that day and you were going in for work and you had to see all your coworkers, you wouldn't put something over that to like make it go away if that was like normalized and you knew how to do it? You wouldn't do that as a guy? Like, you're not planning on fucking anyone at work, are you? But you don't want to have that, like, pimple on your forehead showing, right? Because you're going to work. It's your money maker. The breadwinner is your face, right? That's the money. That's what brings home the bacon. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, yeah. You want to look professional and nice at work. It doesn't mean you're trying to attract people.
What's the purpose of makeup?
Some people would like to just put
I'm sorry,
on
I got
makeup.
caught
Why?
up by this dumb argument from Jordan Peterson.
I don't know why.
Why do you make your lips red? Because they turn red during sexual arousal. That's why. Why do you put rouge on your cheeks? Same reason.
It's all landing straight back in the same spot as purity culture. Of course, needless to say, I'm not saying that people must show flesh or like, wear things that they're not comfortable with. Everyone should be able to wear whatever the hell clothing they want to and feel safe. That's the point. The shaming, the policing, this purity testing, that's where the problem lies. I thought we'd had this discussion back in 2020 when Birds of Prey came out in comparison to what Harley Quinn character was shown as in Suicide Squad from 2016. The way that Harley was framed was
so
as the
egregious,
Joker,
bro.
and we saw her, a body.
Dude, the 2016 Suicide Squad was such an egregious movie, dog. Like, in so many ways, but especially with Harley Quinn's character, it's like, oh my god, bro, that movie aged bad. It aged badly like 5 minutes after everyone watched it. Everyone was like, oh my god, that was rough. That was not well handled.
One which is in service to him and to us as the voyeuristic viewer, wearing, doing and being what he wanted. In Birds of Prey, which I had the delightful pleasure of rewatching for this video, we get her story. She is telling us with her style evolving and changing to go along with her moods. From comfortable despair at home to I'm a magpie, I love shiny things. I don't know if today people would see her as emancipated given the amount of flesh she still has on show throughout the whole movie. Over the past 5 years, there's been a real shift away from people being comfortable with seeing women's bodies. As if we've internalized purity messaging so much that we can only see her as this vessel of sin. She can only ever exist as an object to serve men, and that must be her motivation behind everything that she does. Unless you purposefully prove to us otherwise, we are gonna suspect you.
Oh my god, yes! Okay, she's calling out. She's calling out the Sabrina Carpenter fans. Oh my god. I'm sure Sabrina Carpenter is completely fine and normal, but for some reason, her fan base on Twitter are the femcels. And I was just curious about it one day, so I googled it. Why do femcels love Sabrina Carpenter? And the result I got was that radical feminists love Sabrina Carpenter because... For one, she kind of hates men a little bit. Like, she's done a lot of, like jokes and stuff that are about, like, men being pigs or whatever, and they love that. But also, she does this sort of, like... Part of her brand is that when she is modeling or showing off her body, she says she's doing it for women, and that if men do find it attractive, she's having a siren effect, is what she says. And so she gets to have her cake and eat it too in this way, where she gets to show off her body and men get to see it, and she gets to, like, you know, be attractive lady in Hollywood, right? and all the benefits that brings, because we're not going to pretend that doesn't bring benefits, while also getting to be this like strong critic of men and like how disgusting they are and how men are pigs and stuff. So the femcells absolutely love Sabrina Carpenter. Like, and I'm talking about the femcells, like the actual, like, you know what I'm talking. Don't pretend like you don't know about the femcells. All right, they're real.
We're denying her autonomy to style herself however she wants because that purity test must be passed. We call this out all the time when men do it to us. But through these phrases and signals and plausible deniability, we're doing the exact same misogyny against women. Meanwhile, we know...
I swear to God, if I see this somehow evolve into women calling it appealing to the male gaze when they breastfeed their babies in public, I might blow my shit clean off. I'm not gonna lie. If I've got rad femmes and chuds making a big deal and getting mad about women breastfeeding their babies in public, I don't think I'll be able to take it anymore. I might actually fucking lose it.
If men didn't exist, a whole lot of us, myself definitely included here, would dress so much sluttier because we'd be safe to be able to do so. I know I've certainly policed the things that I've worn because I've been like, oh god.
Well, hold on. Isn't it like scientifically proven that the way a woman dresses has absolutely nothing to do with the likelihood of her being assaulted or raped? Although I will say it probably has something to do with the likelihood of being catcalled or like looked at or ogled at in ways that are uncomfortable. If the worry is like rape or assault, I think it's been proven that like, well, how was she dressed? There's no correlation at all. Like hasn't that been proven? I could be wrong. But I don't know.
Wait, no, there's gonna be guys there. I can't wear that. If I'm hanging out with the girlies, I can do whatever the hell I want.
You don't know how hard it is.
I guess that's kind of like a mindset she's talking about having ingrained in her still.
Man, looking at a woman looking the way you do.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. Or is your opinion of me not my responsibility?
Billie Eilish has been praised for so many years for her baggy clothes and for being a good role model. Like, she's not sexualizing herself like the other pop stars do. She's not showing off.
I hate when people do that. The reason why I like Billie Eilish is because she's her body image stuff is about her and her body. It's not about other people's body or anything. Like she's about, like, she's not, like, when she wants to sexualize herself, she sexualizes herself. When she doesn't want to, she doesn't. When she wants to, like that's, it's on her. Like, it's a her thing. And that's something that I don't know, I don't really see a problem with that. I respect it.
Off her body. Do you remember the huge backlash to her trying out different styles of clothing? So many fans have connected to her because of her baggy clothing, and it's helped them feel comfortable with their own gender expression, which is great. However, she said the real reasons as to why she wore baggy clothing.
Yeah, when she stopped dressing like this, people did get mad. But like what I respect about it is that like she dresses how she wants, and sometimes it's like this, you know? Like I respect that as a guy who sometimes just goes out in a hoodie and basketball shorts and flip-flops, and that's my outfit. I respect it.
To begin with. And it wasn't because of fun self-expression, nor was it to avoid sexualization. She spoke on this in 2023 with Variety, saying, I wasn't trying to have people not sexualize me, but I didn't want people to have access to my body, even visually. I wasn't strong enough and secure enough to show it. If I had shown it at that time, I would have been completely devastated if people had said anything. I had a really, really toxic relationship with my body. I had a lot of eating issues. I remember putting on like a big shirt and the relief that I felt. At the same time, it was my love of hip-hop culture and wanting to be a man. This is the misogyny we all have within us, which is that I didn't want to be seen as feminine and therefore weak. It's not right. I found a good way
wanting to be a man, huh?
of not feeling like that. I think a lot of us can really relate to feeling ashamed of our bodies, especially as you go through puberty in your teen years. Billie developed really young, like 9 years old. And as I spoke about years ago, when you develop early, adultification happens to you and people project all sorts of gross ideas onto you. By your parents, your peers, your teachers, random men on the street. Black girls in particular struggle with adultification and being thought of as being grown, even when they're still incredibly young. As Billie said, I have big boobs. I've had big boobs since I was 9 years old. That's just the way I am. That's how I look. You wear something that's at all revealing and everyone's like, oh, but you didn't want people to sexualize you. You can suck my ass. I'm literally a being that is sometimes. you. Your body is shameful. A tank top on anybody else, it's not a problem at all. But on you, you are showing off your body, you are asking for it. You must be dressing for the male gaze. School dress codes further amplify this by saying that you're a distraction to the boys, you're tempting the boys. Why are you trying to draw attention to yourself? Only do that is the unspoken part of that message, which we're now seeing women.
Dog, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen that. I've seen like grown women make comments on the outfits that younger women are wearing being too revealing, and it's like, why the fuck are you commenting on that? You know, like why do you care? Is what I want to say.
Doing to each other. This shaming, combined with femininity being seen as a weak and frivolity and a performance only for men, has created this breeding ground for internalized misogyny to thrive. Combine that with all of the insecurities we feel about our bodies not meeting the right beauty standard, and I honestly get how we've gotten to this point. I get how Billy and so many others would see covering up as a solution.
Damn, Billy got fat. I'm like, nope, this is just how I look. You've just never seen it before.
And a way to distance herself from other girls, marking herself as more worthy, I'm not asking for anything, don't look at me, don't anything. But we saw how even though she was wearing baggy clothing, there was so much speculation of, oh, what's underneath that though? Like, there were still countdown clocks and men were utterly drooling waiting for her to turn 18. Just as has happened to so many child stars.
Dude, that shit happens all the fucking time, and as I get older, I'm even more bothered by it. Like the shit with like, I'm like, my opinion is kind of, who is it that was like really famous and then she made like an OnlyFans the day she turned 18 and like broke records. It was she was like a popular meme, like Lil Tay. Is that who I'm thinking of? I don't think so. But yeah, maybe it's Lil Tay. But somebody was like really famous. And like I was the same age as this person, so like I turned 18 like a month after they did, and I remember like the news that she had turned 18, she made an OnlyFans and then like blew up, and it was like, whoa, like that's, there were a bunch of people waiting for that. Belle Delphine, it was Belle Delphine, yeah, she like literally, like the day she turned 18, she made like an OnlyFans. And everybody was subscribing to it, and it was like, what the fuck? And it's because she was famous and was thirst trapping online for like 2 years before that, probably. But yeah, like, me and Belle Delphine are the same age. You know, I'm 26. She has been doing this for the same amount of time as I've been online doing online content. And she opened that OnlyFans. Like, I was still 17 when she did that. And I remember, like, people were talking about it. I was like, that's fucking creepy. And now I'm 26 thinking back at that, and it's like, that is really fucking creepy that happened. And it's not the only time, too, because you guys brought up other examples that I don't know about. Lil Tay, I'm pretty sure she was like a child actor or like child YouTuber for a while, like music artist, and apparently she started an OnlyFans, and immediately it blew up. So that means a bunch of men were just waiting. Yeah, very creepy behavior and very common online.
See, the sexualization happens no matter what you are wearing. It's not about dressing for the male gaze. The male gaze is the problem. The rape culture is the problem. The actual motivation behind SA is not because you're too tempting to resist. It's because someone wants to have power over that victim. But people try to signal themselves as doing the right thing for safety. We're constantly chasing trying to be the perfect victim, which doesn't exist, as I've talked about in depth. We're literally performing the male gaze by seeing each woman and girl as objects for consumption, as prey, and assessing their worth by the misogynistic Madonna whore lens, which only keeps victims silent, and further perpetuates the victim blaming that police and everybody
God, she's dropping so many truth nukes right now, it's insane.
Else does. Like Laura Bates has discussed in the brilliant book, Fix the System, Not the Women. We all contain multitudes, and all of them and more are okay. The shameful part is incredibly important, and science is here to back me up. This 2021 study, Slut Shaming in Adolescence, of Violence Against Girls and its Impact on Their Health, showed that just under 80% of adolescents will be slut-shamed That is children the age of 10 to 18. And this has big impacts on your physical and mental health, in particular if you've been a victim. This 2023 study, The Slut Shaming Instrument, Preliminary Validation Correlates and Links with Psychological Distress Amongst Adolescent Girls. First, the stigma and potential social consequences associated with slut shaming may impact adolescent outcomes over and above other forms of victimization. Second, the stigma associated with being perceived as slutty and the frequently unclear and fluid nature of how peers define slutty behaviors may make this form of gender-based violence difficult to anticipate or respond to, increasing shame and decreasing support seeking. What's really happening with this purity testing and the way purity culture has been a progressive rebrand to say, I'm not calling you a slut, I'm saying that you don't respect yourself. Who the hell is that helping either? These signals only alienate us more from each other, which
God, she's dropping so many truth nukes. So many truth nukes. Holy damn. Zan, after transitioning, I've started experiencing a lot of this when I started passing well enough for people to assume I'm a cis girl. Dude, that's, like, I genuinely, like, I can't wait for a future where you're just able to, like, body morph in a machine and live as a woman or a man for a day. Not, or however long you want, because not only will that be massive for trans people, but also imagine how much of, like, the barrier of experience between men and women would be broken down if you could just live one day of the experience of the opposite gender. Just imagine that. Like, genuinely, how much of the difference in ability to relate would break down. Because from the POV of women, men have absolutely no problems and are whiny and don't like to take accountability. And from the perspective of men, women are privileged, have no real problems, are whiny, and don't like to take accountability. Like, of like misandrous women and misogynistic men, that's how they see the opposite gender. These are both fundamentally inability to understand the experience of the other, right? Like, these are women who can't understand men's struggles and men who can't understand women's struggles. Imagine if you could make them able to understand the unique struggles that these groups face. Trans people get it. A lot of trans people who pass well, get it. They've gone through life as both, and they understand. Last year, I had a situation where I was sexually harassed at an almost empty train station late at night, and it was terrifying. Yeah, like, the best way I try to explain it, like, to guys, like, okay, if you're worried about being... If you don't understand what it's like as a guy to be raped by a stranger, or to be worried about being raped by a stranger, to, like, what women feel with that fear, imagine what it would be like if there was a non-zero chance, like a pretty decent chance, you, as a guy, could go out today and a bigger, stronger guy is going to rape you. It's like, oh, now I kind of get it. Now I kind of get it. Like, when you explain it that way to another guy, like, okay, now imagine that there's a chance you might get raped by a bigger, stronger guy while you're out today. It's like, yeah, I don't want that. That's a pretty good point. And you know that is how guys would be, because you know what guys' mindsets are going into prison. Like, ask any guy who's been to prison, when they're going into prison, what the number one thing they're most afraid of happening is, and it's getting raped. They're all like, every dude has the mindset that women have every day when they go to prison. They're like, all right, time to not get raped. You know what I mean? Like, that is what it is like to be a woman. And I don't think many guys get that, but you can create empathy. You can make someone capable of empathizing. Anyway, I think this video is phenomenal. I recommend you guys go check out the rest of it, because we barely took a chunk out of it there. There'll be a link down below to the original in the description. And of course, thank you for watching. That's pretty much it though.